Good morning, I'm Paolo del Rosario. Welcome to Weather HQ. Today's headlines. There is a decline in the country's annual fisheries production. What is the government doing to arrest this? We'll find out from the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources later in the show. The United Nations' goal to triple capacity to reduce carbon emissions faces challenge despite report showing renewable energy sources are set to meet nearly half of all electricity demands by the end of the decade. And Swiss glaciers melt at an above-average rate this year due to a hot summer. More on that story in our global weather. Let's take a look at today's weather forecast coming from Pag-asa. Based on the latest forecast, easterlies is the dominant weather system affecting the country today, particularly the eastern section of Luzon and Visayas. Now, the easterlies are warm winds coming from the Pacific Ocean that can influence weather patterns. As these winds travel over the Pacific Ocean, easterlies pick up moisture, which can lead to increased humidity and potentially result in rainfall when the air rises and cools. So, because of that, residents in Isabela, Aurora, and Quezon expect cloudy skies with scattered rains and thunderstorms. Now, also be prepared for possible flash floods or landslides because of the moderate to at times heavy rains. Now, still due to the easterlies, partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers or thunderstorms are expected to prevail here in Metro Manila and the rest of Luzon as well as eastern Visayas. Now, residents in these areas must prepare for sudden rain showers, especially in the afternoon. The same weather condition is also expected for the rest of the country, but isolated rains are caused by localized thunderstorms. As for our sea conditions, there is still no gale warning in effect, allowing seafarers to venture out safely. Now, for those who are in the coastal waters of Luzon and Visayas, the wind direction is still coming from the northeast to east, while those in Mindanao are seeing winds coming in from the southwest going to the east. Now, light to moderate sea conditions are expected for the whole country, but always take precautionary measures as weather conditions can change unexpectedly. Stay safe and enjoy your time on the water. Let's take a look at the weather conditions in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, starting off in Luzon. Now, due to the easterlies, the region will experience warm and humid weather. Temperatures in Tuguegarao, Lawag, Olongapo, and Metro Manila right down here are expected to reach temperatures of 31 to 33 degrees Celsius. Puerto Princesa as well affected by that. As I move over to the side to show you how Legazpi is feeling. Of course, Baguio is the exception to the rule. Baguio City, as you can see here, 17 degrees Celsius is the low and possible to reach a high of 23 degrees Celsius. Now, in Tagaytay, temperatures ranges from 23 to 30 degrees Celsius. This kind of weather, of course, you can expect intermittent periods of rains with varying in intensity from drizzles to heavy downpours. Now, let's go on over to Visayas. Generally fair weather conditions are expected here. Residents in Tacloban, Bacolod, and Iloilo should prepare for around 60 to 70% chance of rain in the region, especially in the afternoon. Metro Cebu, though, hot weather is expected all throughout the day. Here's Metro Cebu. And of course, low chance of rain is expected around 32 degrees Celsius, the high in Metro Cebu. Temperatures in these areas will range from 26 to 32 degrees Celsius, so make sure that you plan appropriately for the weather conditions. Let's go down south to Mindanao, specifically CDO, Zamboanga in particular. Both of those areas have a chance of rain between 30 to 40%. Now, temperatures in these areas could raise up to 34%. However, in Metro Davao, generally fair weather is expected to prevail, and there is a 60% chance of rain, though. Now, despite of the possible rain showers, temperatures will range between 24 to 33 degrees Celsius over in Metro Davao. Now, given the high temperatures, make sure that you are properly hydrated and maintain a cool environment whenever you are out and about. Don't forget, keep monitoring the local weather forecasts, and weather conditions do have the potential to change. Now, will the weather be suitable for the plans for the rest of the week? Let's take a look at the 3-day weather forecast coming from Pag-asa, starting off first in Legazpi City. Now, generally fair weather is expected tomorrow, but come Thursday, residents should expect cloudy skies with isolated rain showers and thunderstorms. Don't worry though, because on Friday, weather will be back to being a bit more manageable and a bit more fair. Maximum temperature in Legazpi will reach up to 33 degrees Celsius, though as you can see here, what we're showing here, 31, 30, and 31 degrees is going to be the high from Wednesday to Friday. But as we mentioned, could raise up to 33 degrees. Let's go on to Tacloban. The weather forecast there, the 3-day forecast indicates partly cloudy skies with a high probability of rain showers and thunderstorms. Now, again, despite the expected rainfall, temperatures are forecast to remain quite high, up to 33 degrees Celsius on Wednesday and on Friday, right over here. So do watch out for all of that. Plan accordingly to the weather. It may be a bit wet due to the rain, but the heat still up there. Let's go to Bukidnon now. Similar weather conditions are anticipated in Bukidnon. Partly cloudy skies are expected for the next 3 days with a 70 to 80% likelihood of rain, especially in the afternoon. Temperatures range from around 23 to 31 degrees Celsius, so a bit cooler than what we saw previously. Therefore, wherever you are, ensure that you are prepared for the weather, as you can see here in Valencia. Same weather conditions prevailing all the way until Friday. Up next, we'll speak with the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources to note the government's action on the declining fish production. Stay tuned. You're watching Weather HQ. Welcome back. You're still watching Weather HQ. I'm Paolo del Rosario. Tomorrow is World Food Day. The question is, how sufficient is a country in terms of food fish supply? Now, we have on the phone the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, or BFAR Chief Information Officer, Naz Briguera. Good morning, Naz. Maraming salamat. Thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Yes, thank you very much, and good morning, Paolo.
Naz, the agency says that it's targeting 100% food fish sufficiency by 2028. Saan na po tayo ngayon? Is this still an achievable goal?
Yes, that is still a realistic goal, but because right now, if I'm not mistaken, ang fish sufficiency level natin, I think, nasa around 92%. And the government is actually implementing programs that would help us improve our production. So, we are actually ensuring that the source of our fisheries production does not come only from marine fisheries. We are actually implementing programs to improve our capacity in terms of the production from the aquaculture sector.
So, ano yung mga proyekto in place to ensure that we reach that target, 2028, either aqua or mariculture?
Okay. Siguro unahin natin, we tackle first in terms of our marine resources. So there are actually reports saying that our production coming from marine fisheries is declining due to a lot of factors. For example, one factor that actually undermines our production from marine fisheries is illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. This actually resulted to the destruction of our marine habitat. So what are we doing something about it? So we are actually focused on habitat restoration. We're actually educating our partners, especially the local government units, that we really need to exert effort in terms of harnessing their mangrove areas, protecting their seagrass, their coral reefs, because these are critical marine habitats that is very vital to fisheries production from the marine fisheries. And of course, we cannot speak of marine resource conservation if we will not be talking about the intensification of our fight against illegal, unreported, and regulated fishing. So this has to go hand in hand, because if we're really serious about restoring or rehabilitating our resources, we should pinpoint the very cause of this habitat destruction. And one of it is illegal unreported fishing. So the government is really investing a lot in terms of intensifying a campaign against illegal fishing.
Well, sir, as you mentioned it a while ago, that there is a slight decline in terms of the level of production. According to the Philippine Statistical Authority, it's around 1.8% in terms of the production volume of fishing in the Philippines. Last year, in 2023, 4.26 million metric tons compared to the 2022 figures. Sir, you mentioned a while ago, illegal fishing, one of the factors behind the decline. Pero does climate change be a factor with regards to decline as well? And also, a lot of people would be wondering, kasi it's always in the news, yung West Philippine Sea disputes that the Philippines has been having, has that affected adversely yung fish production po natin?
Yes, aside from actually, let's say, man-made causes, which pertains to illegal fishing, but even we talk about climate change, I think we humans have something to do about climate change. Mm-hmm. But yes, it's a factor actually that would affect our fishers' production because with climate change, there is an erratic changes in terms of oceanic temperature, and this incident could actually lead to altered migration pattern of most fish species, especially the pelagic or tuna and tuna-like species. So we really need to address the effect of climate change, the negative impact of climate change. And we'll still go back to habitat restoration because the one effective way of actually combating the negative impact of climate change is to ensure the integrity of our environment, especially our mangrove areas, our corals. So we really need to put more effort in terms of our habitat destruction. And that you mentioned about the challenge that we have in the West Philippine Sea. Yes, although we could say that there are other factors which have actually contributed to the noted decline in our production for the West Philippine Sea, because we need to take into account also, with our disturbances, reduced fishing efforts due to rising fuel costs. But yes, the challenge, the conflict happening, the geopolitical conflict happening in the West Philippine Sea is one of the factors that we could actually say it is one of the causes why there's a noted decline in our production for the West Philippine Sea.
Sir, you mentioned a while ago focusing on the environment as well, rehabilitating some of the nature with regards to the production of fish here. You take a look at what BFAR has been doing, because it has to work with the community, the fisher folk, to be able to ensure any sort of sustainability. What type of support does BFAR provide to the communities that are adversely affected or that need to have better effort with regards to sustainability?
Yes, that's a good question. Well, there are actually two things that we are doing in terms of addressing that particular issue. One approach is what we call the hard approach, and that actually refers to our effort to intensify or campaign against illegal and unreported fishing. And there's another approach that we call the soft approach. So this soft approach pertains to actually giving incentives to the local government units who have showed outstanding coastal resources management practices. We have this program, the Malinis at Masaganan program. This is actually an effort of the government, of the national government, through the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, which actually incentivizes, which gives incentives to the best efforts of the local government units in terms of harnessing the resources, in terms of restoring their marine habitat. So under the Malinis at Masaganan Karagatan program, the criteria for that national search for the outstanding coastal community, the local government has to ensure that there is no illegal fishing happening in their municipality, that there is an effective mangrove restoration or rehabilitation program. There is no effluence or, they have a good solid waste management, and they're actually implementing closed fishing season, and they're maintaining marine protected area. So based on those criteria, we actually give incentives to the local government units in terms of livelihood projects. For example, under the MMK, we have actually awarded so many municipalities who have actually won the contest 30 million worth of livelihood projects for their community because they were able to actually garner the national award for the MMK. So this is what we call the SOLVE approach. We motivate the local government units to actually collaborate or cooperate with the national government in terms of harnessing resources, because we need to take into account that it's actually the local government units who are at the front line of coastal resource management, Paolo.
Sir Naz, we really appreciate your time and all of the information and insight. We hope to talk to you again very soon.
Thank you very much for your opportunity in sharing this information. Mabuhay kayo.
That's Naz Briguera, the BFAR Chief Information Officer. Global weather comes after the break. Keep it here on BNC, the Billionaire News Channel. Welcome back. You're watching Weather HQ. I'm Paolo del Rosario. The International Energy Agency report shows that renewable energy sources are set to meet nearly half of all electricity demand by the end of the decade. However, they are expected to fall short of a UN goal to triple capacity to reduce carbon emissions. The world is set to add more than 5,500 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by 2030. The report emphasizes the need for governments to intensify efforts to integrate renewables into power grids and modernize electricity grids. Solar photovoltaic is expected to account for 80% of the growth in renewable energy capacity to 2030, with the wind sector also forecast to double its rate of expansion. Despite the global solar manufacturing capacity exceeding demand, many manufacturers are facing significant financial losses. However, national governments are making progress, with 70 countries estimated to reach or surpass their renewable energy targets for 2030. Now, the Swiss glaciers melted at an above-average rate this year due to a hot summer that thawed throughout an abundant snowfall. Despite a snow-rich winter and a cool, rainy spring, the glaciers lost 2.5% of their volume, which is above the average of the past decade. One of the factors that accelerated the losses was dust from the Sahara, giving the ice sheets a brown or rosy hue and inhibiting their ability to reflect sunlight into the atmosphere. If greenhouse gas emissions continue to rise, the Alps glaciers are expected to lose more than 80% of their current mass by 2100. Rural communities in the Andes of Colombia and Ecuador fight to protect fragile high-altitude wetlands that regulate the area's water cycles. Grassroots activists aided by international advocacy groups are working to protect the high-altitude wetlands called paramos and save water through efforts to restore native plants. The director of the Sustainable High Mountain Landscapes program run by Conservation International Colombia, Patricia Bejarano, highlighted the impact of Amazon deforestation, climate change, and soil degradation on water dynamics. Local communities are rearing paper trees in nurseries to help capture and store water, while plans are being developed to protect paramo areas and expand their borders. This is vitally important for conserving drinking water and hydroelectric reservoirs. The World Meteorological Organization's forecast on Colombia indicates cloudy skies will be widespread throughout the country. Now, the temperature is expected to have a low of 19 degrees Celsius, and there's a 60% chance of rain. As you can see here, the 3-day weather forecast, residents are advised to make necessary preparations for any potential rainfall. Now, let's move on over to Ecuador. Now, in Ecuador, we can anticipate overcast skies with intermittent light rain showers. The temperature in Ecuador will range from 11 to 23 degrees Celsius. Anticipated rains these anticipated rains could aid residents in safeguarding the high-altitude wetlands. And that's Weather HQ for today. Join me again tomorrow, whatever the weather, here on the Billionaire News Channel.